All right, so now we're back with Laura Brand, our serial killer whisperer. Over the past few weeks, we've been talking about Michael Gargiulo and a little bit about Ashton Kutcher. And Ashton Kutcher is back in the press for some stuff that's going on right now. So his name is pretty prevalent. And Michael Gargiulo's name is pretty prevalent too, because he's up. They're trying to try him for another, his first murder. What we think is the first murder.
Oh, so, his alleged first murder. Yeah.
His alleged Tricia. All right. And you've been talking with him for what, the past year?
Over a year.
And we know from our previous podcast, he's been transferred to Illinois. He's there now at Cook County, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And was this prior to Cook County transferring these recordings?
This was San Quentin.
This is San Quentin. So it was before they got rid of San Quentin. All right. So give us some context about when these recordings were done and what motivated him, and like what were your overall thoughts when you're talking to him?
So this was a roundabout interview where I'm actually, chasing the white rabbit to get some information that I don't want him to know that I'm after. I had some information from the death of inmates, and I'll stop at certain parts of this so we can, I can dissect it and tell you what I'm really going after, what I'm really trying to question him on. But he goes into Tricia in these interviews.
Yeah, and I actually kind of spot checked him before, when you sent it to me, and I was listening to him. I was doing some in the background. It was very kind of weird and compelling, and he's definitely got a plan.
Yeah.
That's the amazing thing. He's got a plan and he's got theories, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's play the first one.
I wasn't sure if it was under the nails or on top of the nails.
No. They said it was under the nails, but in my case, the lady in my preliminary hearing in the Illinois case out here, she said it was under the nails, and I got my that's why my preliminary hearing went forward. And that was my attorney that did the preliminary hearing. I was the one trying to help him because he didn't do nothing. I kept on arguing with him to ask these questions because he didn't want to listen to me because his son. He was covering up that his son stole my trust fund, and I never worked on my case for 8 years, or until 2010. And he thought heroin was the money, so he was trying to cover up for his son, and that he did nothing on my case. So I had many Marston hearings saying my attorney's not doing shit. But she came in from Illinois and testified to, because they were using 1101B character evidence. That the defendant was young and starting to commit crimes.
Well, I just asked because
she testified to that it was under the
nails.
She testified to that it was under the nails, so I would be bound in.
Okay, so since we're jumping right into this, what is he talking about? Give us a little play-by-play here.
So I'm asking about the DNA. So there was DNA found. There was talk of whether it was under Tricia's fingernails of his DNA or on top of the fingernails. And he's saying it was under the fingernails. And what we know now is every member of Tricia's family has said that she took a long, hot shower before she went out that night for the scavenger hunt. She had no contact with Michael Gargiulo. So there should be no DNA, no touch DNA, whether it's under her fingernails or even on top of her fingernails from that night.
Wow.
Yeah.
And he's trying to say that could have been from a different time.
Yeah, you'll hear his explanation. He keeps going.
Yeah. Okay.
It's amazing that you just keep lying.
Yeah.
She came back years later, and in my trial, she said, I need to correct myself. She came in with a report said, actually, I took one swab and swabbed all the nails, so I don't know where the DNA was, if it was under the nails or on the nails. she can't confirm that.
So that day, the reports of like she was walking crying and like you were behind her or something.
No, this is fact. See, the piece of shit that's lying that was in the vehicle with me, he's friends with the family, and the whole family changed up on me, so he's lying too, just to cover up for the family's lies. There was plenty of contact with me and my best friend's sister because she was crying. She was crying, so we were going to see my friend. I was going to my friend's house because we were in a band together. So I went and picked her. I went and stopped, and I told her, "Hey, why are you crying?" And I gave her a ride somewhere. I don't know where it was. We gave her a ride to her boyfriend's house or something. But when I picked her up, my van was fucked up, so I had to get the door. Anyone that knows me knows that my van door was messed up.
You want to stop it?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, that part
Yeah.
just reminded me, Larry. The van door's messed up. I had to open it for you.
Yeah. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but he's trying to blame her own family for her death.
Oh, just wait. Yeah.
You know, that's what it sounds like it's leading up to,
Yeah.
which is pretty astonishing.
It's really astonishing.
Wow. Okay.
And I had contact with her. I was tickling her, so I had plenty of contact. And when I was driving with her, I kept reaching back and tickling her because she was ecstatically crying.
Did she ever answer why she was crying?
No.
No, she never said
But
anything.
we finding out. So I did have full contact with her and was tickling her and all. And the guy, Scott Olson, lied in the stand and he said there was no contact with her. And it's a lie because she was crying and I was trying to cheer her up. So I was reaching back trying to tickle her and trying to cheer her up because it was only a year difference. She used to drive me to school and I was always at that house. So I knew her as my own sister.
Right.
Later on, years later.
All right. I got to stop for a minute.
Hold on a second. So he's trying to say that he was trying to cheer her up because her family upset her.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why he had her.
DNA.
No, because he was tickling her.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's why his DNA was under her fingernails because he was tickling her, is what he's trying to say.
His DNA was under her fingernails.
Because he was tickling her.
That doesn't even make sense.
No, at all.
I tell you, he's committed though.
It's just
He
shocking. I mean, he was raised with these people. He even says she was like my sister.
Yeah. Yeah.
What triggered him to kill her?
That I don't know. I don't know.
Like, where did this even come from?
And if she rejected him in some way that we don't know about, maybe something that maybe just triggered him.
Yeah. But maybe she wasn't the first.
Well, according to the inmates on San Quentin's death row, she was number 3.
She was number
the third.
3. Oh yeah, I remember you
Yeah.
telling us that. Yeah. And because he said that to them?
Yeah.
Wow.
And the it was the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department also confirmed this, which I didn't even know at the time, because the death row inmates told me there were 2 before Trish, and there were 7 from the route from Illinois to California. And then I just recently heard a PSA from the Sheriff's Department saying, if anybody knows of any girls from routes of Illinois to Los Angeles, please come forward. We're looking for 7. The inmates on San Quentin's death row told me 9. 2 before Trish, 7 on route. That equals 9.
And he's claiming that he hasn't
Okay.
killed anybody, right?
Right. So now the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department goes, we've heard him. This was in Los Angeles County Jail. He was talking about the 7 on route. He goes to San Quentin's death row. He's talking about the 7 on route and then 2 before Trish. And he was telling everybody he was so scared of being extradited because he was so scared these other two girls were going to be lumped in with Trish now. Like he'd go back for Trish, but they'd connect him to the two other two.
Yeah.
How scary is this? Before he even made it to LA, he had already killed 9 people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the answer to your questions. And that, why would he do this?
Well, he's been doing it.
Exactly. He's just,
Yeah.
obviously he's
But that's
born evil.
He was at the Rainbow Room. I was there.
Yeah.
I know.
This still goes back to my brain of like a 20-something-year-old. You don't know who you're hanging out with. Or I wasn't hanging out with him, but
well, you know who
I
else was? I'm sure was at
place.
Douglas Clark was probably at the Rainbow
Yeah,
Room.
but that was way before my time.
But still.
Yeah. But I mean, Michelle, the survivor, she never knew Michael Gargiulo, but she remembers like him being in his, I forget if it was like an HVAC or plumbing truck, whatever he was doing. She remembers like walking by and he'd wave to her and she'd just friendly be like wave back a couple times.
Yeah.
That was the entirety of their, interactions with each other. Her just being friendly and waving back. And he jumped on her and I stabbed her. Yeah, trying to kill her. Just from her waving back.
Well,
These predators, they see a smile or they see a wave and they think
it's an introduction. Yeah, it's an invite.
Right. That's how warped their brains are.
Ugh.
Mm-hmm. So who knows what Tricia did? Tricia could have been nice to him.
She probably was nice to him because he was her brother's friend.
Right. He was always in the house.
Always in the house.
Yeah.
Ugh, a poor family. Oh my God. All right.
Yeah.
Yep. Going back.
The family saying, "Oh, he didn't come here. He was hardly at the house, and I gave him gifts and all that." No, my mom gave me gifts to give to the Pacacccio family when Tricia died.
What about, what's the whole thing about you went over there, sat in the kitchen, waited for Tricia's dad for an hour, then your dad and sister came and said, "Let's go"?
That's where the letter comes in. That's not true. Mrs. Pacacccio, I told Mr. Pacacccio that their son pointed a gun on me the day before because he was drunk and saying it was all his fault his sister died. And that's what the letter coincides with. That's why I need to get that letter. If I get that letter, it shows I'm innocent and that the family are all liars and I'll be acquitted.
Where's the letter?
The show, my brother came out here when I got arrested, and he delivered the letter from Illinois to my attorney, my paid attorney. What I'm feeling is that my paid attorney gave me my discovery, handed everything over to me. When he handed the case over to me, at the public defender's office, and that letter is somewhere, I don't know where it is, but that's the same thing I told Mr. Pacacccio, why I needed to talk to Mr. Pacacccio, and I told him, and he told me I'm crazy. My son would never do that, and they got mad at me, and I left. But
that's a mouthful.
Yeah.
I mean, that's quite a story.
And it's all bullshit. If there was a letter that exonerated him, he would be in possession of it. But there is no letter.
Of course. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous that he thinks that you would believe this story.
I know. Or anybody would. Or going into a court of law and trying to say this story.
And just keep saying it over and over. I mean, that's the part that I just don't understand. Like, at this point...
A friend of his, like he had watched America's Most Wanted and had told a friend, he goes, "If I ever get caught, I'm going to deny, lie until I die." And look what he's doing.
Well, that's, I mean, most of them do that in there, though.
But not, I wouldn't say to the extreme of Gargiulo. I mean, he's just making up insane stories. I mean, some of the stuff you're going to hear him say in these tapes is just insane. He said Michelle was stabbing herself. That's why he went.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Poor family. I mean, this is awful.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that, he's blaming the brother.
I know.
That's pretty.
I mean, this is like soulless.
I don't know how that family's kind of keeping it together. That'd be tough.
Yeah. Because it's not even just like what he's done to her, but now it's like he's blaming the family too. Like there's nothing. He's vacant.
Yeah, there's no soul in there.
Yeah.
No.
But
I
he's
mean,
It's terrifying. It's
Well, in
terrifying
part-
that you could have a friend grow up with you, living in your house
Right.
with you, spending all that time with you, who's soulless and could do something like this to your sister.
Right. I said on part 1 we started discussing him. It takes a lot for a serial killer to like really make me cringe, but he made me cringe, and it was the way he talked about, especially Trisha's family.
yeah, and he's so like he's pathological. I mean, he's a good actor. You know, he really sells his case. I mean, even though you know it's fantasy.
I think he's emphatic, but he's not.
He's not believable.
He's not believable, right? Like he's just so asinine in what he's saying. Just because you're emphatic, it's just like you're spewing out bullshit, and everybody can see that. Yeah.
Well, he's putting on a good act for himself. That's what he's doing.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
scary that someone could believe this delusional lies that he's telling himself.
What's even crazier is there are people online who fall into this trap of like, oh, maybe it was Ashton Kutcher, maybe he's innocent, and I'm like, if you only freaking knew
I
who
know.
this demon was, you know, the things he's done and the things I've heard him say and what he's putting Trisha's family through, not even then, but now, you know, it's just, and saying it's the brother. And it's just like I said, I don't typically see a serial killer going after the family like this or viciously like this. This was something new for me, and this made me cringe.
Wow.
Well, also because he had such a close relationship with them. So it was almost like they were his surrogate family.
Right. And he did this.
Yeah.
It just, yeah.
He had access.
Right.
There's no doubt about it that he killed Ashton Kutcher's girlfriend. There's no question about that. I don't even know why people are questioning that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only, I guess, because it's sensationalism, but it's ridiculous. This man, Gargiulo, killed that girl.
And Maria Bruno and Michelle Murphy.
Yeah.
You know, he killed them all. He did. He's a serial killer.
Oh,
Yeah.
He's terrifying, honestly. But let's see what else he says that you can kind of unravel.
It gets worse.
Ugh.
He was on his son. I told him that, and he pulled the gun on me the night before, and he was all facing at me and putting it in his camp, and he's saying it's his fault his sister died, and it is his fault that his sister died. He knows why. That's why he didn't want me to talk about his past and all the shit he did in that letter, and he wanted me to burn it, because it is his fault that his sister died. Factually.
Because it was one of his other friends.
Yes. I have nothing to do with that murder, period. And I'm going to be convicted on it because of the star power and the name that they put on me, because I'm never going to have a fair trial. I need to have a top-shot attorney that could just tear these witnesses up on the stand, and even the detectives.
Yeah. Have you talked to your brother? Does he still have the letter?
No, you don't know what. No, you don't know what the letter is, but there's an attorney back home that has a copy of the letter too on a file.
You know that what the
I don't know
attorney?
if they still have that file. Because we're talking 30. Yeah, his name's Charles Bell. And you need to get at him and see.
Dole?
Yeah.
I just wanted to pause it here because this is where I start to circle. Like I'll circle before I like go down for what I'm going for. But you actually say the question when I said, because his friend, your other friend killed Tricia, right? Because he didn't know that I already had the information that he had planted Tricia's murder weapon on a mutual friend of Doug and his. And so this murder weapon is actually still in the location of his friend's house or parents' house, right? So the death row inmates had told me, and I started getting worried because I got the call that he's getting extradited. Newsom had signed off; he's getting extradited back to Illinois, and I said, God forbid, he goes back there and goes, well, no, it wasn't me, it was this guy, and here's where the murder weapon is, and somehow this story, is believed, and now he kills another person, sending them to jail for life. So that started getting me really upset. And I said, we have to figure out who who this person is.
Mhm.
That's when you hear me first say, "Oh, why? Because it was a friend of yours who killed him." And he goes, "Yeah." And he quickly switches, and I quickly switch because I don't want him to get suspicious. That's what I'm circling for. So then I go, "So tell me about this letter. What was the attorney's name?" And keep playing, and then you'll see me circle back in.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, this letter thing is pretty hilarious. Now he says that the lawyer has a copy of it. He's not sure. He says, who has a copy of it? And then you say, he has a copy of it? And you're like, well, I don't know.
Exactly.
It's like,
how do you spell the attorney's name? I'm not sure.
I'm not sure.
In Illinois, in Glenview. Charles Bell and Associates.
We're gonna have to try to
I
find
need
him.
to find him, and I need for him to get at me ASAP. I need for you to freely me to him, because he's not going to release nothing unless it's to me.
No, he won't. He won't. I'm gonna look him up. Text me the exact spelling of his name and Glenview, like any information, and I'll track him. I'll find him.
That's why I want to have with my brother the Pacacccio, the liars. So if you could get a podcast and we can work with my brother, we can start exposing all this shit. And I got a following. People are going to be like, wait a second, the Pacacccio family is going to back off. They're going to back off because they're fucking liars. And they know that the gifts came from the Gargiulo family. It was from my mom. My mom is the one that went out and got them a shirt for Mr. Pacacccio and the family because she felt bad.
Yeah.
There's absolutely zero remorse from this guy. Like zero.
Nothing.
Like negative.
Nothing.
That is
Nothing.
terrifying.
That
is what scares me about these people so much, that there's no there's no remorse. There's none.
nothing, and he's just going to still attack the family that he grew up with.
Oh.
His surrogate family.
Yep. He's got a plan. He's going to get a podcast. He's going to get a following. He's got followers. I'm sure he does have followers.
I'm sure he does, and people are ridiculous, and they would believe that he was innocent.
Do you know how, like, have you ever?
Yeah, like he's trying. Right.
He has followers.
So, Laura, tell me a little bit about your technique here. You're saying you're circling around, and then what?
I'm playing into the bullshit. Keep playing it. You'll hear me circle back because I'm trying to get the name of the friend he's trying to set up.
So that you can protect him.
Exactly.
Okay.
Sure.
Ooh, the suspense is killing me.
Yeah. So I know he's trying to set him up. So.
We'll do that because that was like my second family.
Right.
It had nothing to do with me. I was just the one delivering it because I was always at that house. And I was kicking it with the grandmas and this and that. And I don't know much about that murder because I didn't ask. I didn't care. I just wanted to find the murderer. And I wanted to get at Dugmore and find out what he knew, why he was saying it's his fault his sister died. That was the whole point, because I had nothing to do with the murder.
This other friend of his that you think is the real culprit?
Who?
Doug's friends, the other friends.
Listen, there's a lot I know, but I'm not gonna put nothing out there because I'm actually innocent and I don't want nothing to get turned around on me.
Okay, yeah.
The less I say about that case, the better. I don't want to get it between me and my attorney and I, but that's why they're having to use snitches because they don't have a case. They're having guys that created a story and they figured, hey, they're acting like, oh, these guys just came forward for 48 hours and they just, and they have a, no. Right. They didn't just come forward, they figured, hey, they're acting like, oh, these guys just came forward for 48 hours and they just, and they have a,
lots of uhs going on in there.
You see how cagey he gets? You see how he instantly shuts down? He's like, I can't talk about that now.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
He's so definitive about his plan, and then he just shuts down and
shuts down because I started asking.
I don't want to put too much out there, you know.
I think he he might have had ideas or had an idea that they had already come to me with this information and knew I was trying to get to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was able to get the name, thank God.
You did?
I did.
How did you get the name?
He slipped. I just had him, you have him. I've had him on the phone there were times 5 hours. Imagine talking to him for 5 hours straight.
No.
I don't know how you do it.
I don't either. I would lose my mind. I could not talk to that guy for 5 hours.
You must have an amazing filter.
I don't even know how I did it. 5 hours, and when they were dismantling, people don't even understand. Nobody saw me for months because it was I'd be on the phone with him for 5 hours. I'd tap out with him and then be on the phone with Ing for 5 hours, then Suf. And then it was because it was all of them are leaving. So it was I had to be on the phone with them for hours. So I was pulling 16-hour days with these guys. And, they had the tablets so they could text too. And I'd be on the phone. I'd literally clock in. It was right in the morning. And then it wasn't until 12 a.m. The phones would shut off. I'd finally get a break. And with their
I'm tired just thinking about it.
It's amazing.
It's insane. Yeah. This is only 11 minutes of him. Imagine.
I know. I can't.
So you eventually get the person's name.
He finally cracks. He tells you the person's name so you can protect that person.
Yes.
That's good.
And I'm
Good
hoping
job.
he'll leave for Tricia's murder weapon. Hopefully, God willing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they haven't found it yet?
No, it's never been found. None of his knives have been found. Ford thinks he took him back to the blood.
Does he talk about knives at all?
All the time.
In your conversations? Yeah, I would imagine it would be. That's what he used.
Arteries, knives.
Oh yeah, I remember you told me about that. Yeah.
He sits there and goes, "I'm so innocent. I'm innocent." And then he's like, "Get in my dungeon." And then he's talking about knives and arteries.
Yeah.
Every 2 seconds. Yeah.
So, and he just has a public defender now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think he can afford anything else. He still owes $15,000 for restitution in California. And actually, that's going to come into play when we play the second tape of how he was going to pay that off.
Wow. So what is he paying restitution for?
The victims. There was a
the victims. So there was but how much? Yeah, but what was the amount?
I think it was 30,000, and I think he's down to 15,000.
Okay.
Groupie girls paying a lot of it off right now.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
It just stuns me that these women would invest their time and their life into this serial killer.
I don't get it.
It's shocking to me, but it happens, and I don't understand it, but it happens a lot. Okay, let's play the next tape.
Yeah, well, let's see what else. There's a little bit more to this one.
More on this one, yeah.
There's
oh yeah, he starts going into his
there's 2 minutes left.
of his daughter too.
They didn't just come forward. They tried to find a way where they could benefit off of it. They took that opportunity.
Yeah.
To benefit for themselves.
Yeah.
So, what do I do about it, Laura? It's like the government should know that those guys were con men and they have records and they were asking for stuff. And they're still allowing them to testify or why.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
What do I do? How do you battle that? How do you battle people lying on the stand against you? I don't have no one there for me. I don't have no one fighting for me. Just like at my trial there, I'm going to have no one there on my trial. I need to get people to come forward and tell the truth.
Yeah.
And then I got my ex-girlfriend. She's lying because I got convicted out here. She's lying and changed her story from reports she had. She's a freaking lying son of a bitch because...
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Am I calling you back or no?
Yeah, call me back. I was gonna say, well, actually, you know what?
I instantly regretted saying, "Yeah, call me back."
Exactly.
I'm sure.
I heard the slight
hesitation of no, I really don't want to talk to you anymore.
I tapped out for the night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so.
That was the mother of his daughter he was talking about.
I
The
see.
line. Yeah.
Yeah. No one's fighting for him.
No, of course not.
Yeah. Well, his victims can't fight anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
This next one, just
Mhm.
explain something, and then I'm going to explain. This actually goes into what he was trying to do at San Quentin to make money. There's
Okay.
a big piece of this. I'm going to remind you. I actually said in part 1 when we recorded, keep this in mind. I'm going to circle back to it, and I'm going to circle back to it in this tape.
Okay. It's very cryptic of you.
I know. What are you talking about?
You'll see. I always land the plane.
You have a phone call from
Michael Gargiulo.
an inmate at the California State Prison, San Quentin, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now.
Getting to the other part.
It's about to go back.
It's coming up.
Yeah, I kept this part in because even he said, "Oh God," when the gender inmates are like,
What was I saying? Yeah, so I was watching the doc, they didn't show it. Like, it was really weird. Like, it's just like some guy doing commentaries describing it, and they just had like B-roll footage. But they said they like went into your apartment, and there was all these like ghoulish paintings or masks that were like hanging on a wall.
That's incorrect.
Do you know what they were talking about? Like what they could have been referring to?
Who went into my apartment?
I think it was like one of the detectives saying there was like a mask or painting. They didn't show anything. He was like ghoulish.
Okay, and that's where we're going to destroy them. I had a toy collection that my brother started me off. It was everything. It had, what they did is, out of 200 toys, they took the movie Maniac out, like Friday the 13th or Freddy that my brother gave me.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And they're collectors.
Yeah.
The thing is about those toys is they got a different colored eye. That's why I got them. And they're worth a lot of money. And I collect big toys for kids. Something that you would want your son to have growing up. And I had hundreds of thousands of dollars of toys that my wife stole. Right now, there would be millions now. And what they did is they took out like the things that had anything of like a weapon or anything on them, and they laid them on the floor and took a picture of them. And I had these masks because I collected masks, but they were museum masks. That change your face.
Yeah,
so you could put it on.
It was like they put the plastic.
That's what they were.
What are they called?
I think that's it.
"That."
Why is that
Yeah,
important?
Well, he's talking about. So what I was referring to is there was a documentary, and they have the detective saying he went into the apartment, and they went into the room, and they said it was eerie because the whole room just had masks. Creepy mask, like to talk about like Leatherface, like horror movie mask. The whole room was just masked. And they were like, this is really chilling. And so I was saying to him, what's going on with the mask? And he was saying they were collectors. So he had all these, his brother did animation. So he knew how to make those plaster mold masks that could change the shape of your face, like a total disguise type of mask. Right?
Was this an older brother or younger brother?
I think it's older. Whichever one. Yeah, I think it was the older one he moved out to LA with. So, and then he talks about having all the horror movie masks. And we always talked about the love of horror movies. And he had always talked about Freddy and Jason with me. Tricia was murdered on Friday the 13th. It was August 13th, 1993. Too. Yeah. And I had even joked with him. I said, it's funny. Tricia was murdered on, Friday the 13th, and he had laughed about it when I had brought it up to him. And I was like, that's like Jason Voorhees, Friday the 13th. And then I had brought up, so this is the part with the mask in San Quentin. So he had tried to make these masks at San Quentin and try to sell them for commissary and to pay off his restitution. And the inmates were trying to tell him, you can't make masks in prison. It's, escape paraphernalia. You can't do it. But he kept trying to sell off these ghoulish masks inside of San Quentin's death row.
What was he making him out of?
I don't know. I mean, they get their hands on all kinds of stuff.
So he literally is just going to sit here and pretend that he's innocent. Obviously, he's innocent. That's why he's on death row. It's ridiculous.
Crazy.
What is going on with Tricia's case right now? Is he being extradited? Has he been extradited?
Yes, he's in Illinois.
So he's already in Illinois. Have you spoken to him since he's been there?
No. He's off the tablet because he's transferred.
Yeah, because he's in Cook County Jail. Are they allowed to have? I don't think they have that program there. No, there's phones though. I'm sure he can get a hold of a phone, but not as easy as he can inside a prison.
No. So he's had his arraignment and he's had one pre-trial hearing, but there's been no updates ever since. So, I mean, it's probably going to be a while. I mean, they're prepping for a trial.
So those other two girls before Trish, is there any movement or any information on those two girls?
Nothing. This is something I was going to actually try to get Rob in with me, the other Rob, PI Rob.
Yeah, Rob Dick.
We have a mount load of cases, in another state we're working on right now, which you guys know about that case.
Yeah.
We have our hands full with that one. But I was going to see if he could help me try to track down who these other two possible girls could be.
In Illinois. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I guess you got to go through the Jane Does.
Do you think it's Illinois or do you think it's somewhere else?
No, I think it's Illinois. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It might not even be a Jane Doe. It could just be an unsolved,
Mm-hmm.
It could be anything.
That's true.
Like Kathy Small was.
Right. This is the thing. When I had to go through Biddekers, it's you have to go through the missings, you got to go through the Jane Does, and then you got to go through the unsolved. So you got to really check all three of those boxes when you're going through them.
He's awful.
Yeah.
When do you think you'll be able to talk to him again? Do you think?
I don't know. I have hundreds of hours we can still dissect.
Okay. No, I'm just curious on what's going on with him now, because he it sounds like he would probably talk.
Yeah. Well, you never know. You never
Maybe
know.
not.
Trial. This is the time they tighten down the hatches.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm just saying if he had an opportunity to talk.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, he just seems like the guy that would, try to defend his case somehow.
He might.
I mean, look at these crazy stories he's coming up with.
Yeah.
His psychosis is what? His psychopathy.
It's just psychopath.
Psychopath.
Yeah, he's a psychopath. I mean,
Yeah. There's no other I don't see any type of other personality disorder or there's no mental illness with him.
Yeah. I like how he's bragging about his toys.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that his wife took all the toys, sold them?
Stole all the toys for him.
Stole them.
Yeah.
$100,000 worth of toys.
That are worth millions.
So there's no mental illness. So what is a psychopath then?
I mean, you see it. No remorse.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no...
I know. We're still just trying to understand how that happens. Is it genetic? Is it a gene? Is it DNA? Is it...
Well, psychopaths, that is genetic. They're born with that predisposition. But, with... for a serial killer, because most psychopaths are not violent. Most go on to work on Wall Street. Most go into,
Yeah, I've worked for quite a few psychopaths.
So have I.
There's that book out, I remember there was I forget what the name of the title is, but it's you'd be surprised how many common people are diagnosed as psychopaths.
Well, successful people.
Yeah, but just common, ordinary people that are successful. Not
No,
always successful.
It's true, and most are not violent. Like I said, most go into business. Most go into become great business leaders, politics, Wall Street, Hollywood, especially. They're not usually violent. This is that's where the nurture comes into play. And we know that he had a very, from reports that are out there, a pretty abusive background with his siblings being locked in closets. Apparently the siblings wore masks and we'd jump out on him. And then you look at him.
He was tortured by his siblings.
Reportedly, yeah.
Who wore masks.
Wore masks and would scare him with the mask. Yeah. And I think fake knives. And look at him with the knives.
Were they siblings? Were they girls, sisters, or brothers?
Both.
Yeah, no.
Both. He was from a big Italian family. I think he was one of 7, middle child.
Wow.
And when I talked to a friend of his, he described him as the black sheep and runt of the family. Like even as a child, he was just kind of like the oddball. They used to call him like the weirdo even as a kid. Like there was just something different about him, and they treated him different. Yeah. But then he had a surrogate family who welcomed him, and they murdered, their daughter.
That's weird.
No.
Because they were right next door.
So he maybe took all that aggression towards the siblings out on Tricia.
It's possible. It's possible.
Like we said, I mean, she wasn't the first one. So
yeah.
I mean, that's interesting because it doesn't seem like it was a big community. Wouldn't someone maybe he had gone to a different community?
I mean, he could have went to another town. I'm guessing for the other 2, it could have been a different town.
And then how young would he have been?
Well, I mean, he was 17 with Trish. I wouldn't think he was that much. I would think he would only be, I couldn't see him starting. I mean, the youngest serial killer.
Could he start right after puberty?
I mean, yeah. I mean, they'd be so young. I would start my search from the age of Tricia and go 2 years back. But I mean, it goes further. God, if he had started that young, that would be really scary.
Yeah.
I mean, 17 already murdering,
I know. Well, I mean, like I said, Gary Ridgway was I think he was 14.
Yeah. It does happen. Bittaker's first kill was 17. He reported too.
Yeah.
I think it was Bundy. They said was 17 as well. He reported.
So
young. Yeah. I mean, a lot of the criminal behavior of these serial killers is reported in their teenage years. Is when they start, crying, peeping in the windows, the creepy crawly stuff, going into people's houses. It's all teenage years. Yeah.
That's crazy. Well, that's crazy. And, even though he's a psychopath, I still think he's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it's like, how could you not call that insanity where he can just kill those many people indiscriminately and then just talk about it and still
try to defend himself? That's like living in an alternate reality.
It is. I mean, it really is. Especially with,
and we've done wrongful conviction documentaries. I mean, we did a big one. We got several people out of prison who were actually wrongfully convicted. And this guy is not one of those people.
No.
Not
even close.
No. But he's getting off right now on the Diddy stuff.
Oh, I'm sure some of the people are, right?
Oh, yeah. Why not?
Because, people are going to dig into this and think, maybe there's something to it. Maybe he committed murder too. Like, he used to eat it up, anytime Kutcher was back in the press or 70 show was back in the press. He was like, people are going to start to think, maybe there was something more and there was something more of the murder and stuff like that.
Do you know if they have him separated from people in Cook County?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's why he's faking the illness of the aneurysms.
Got it. There you go. There's your prison 101 lesson. If you don't want to be in Maine Pop, you got something wrong with you.
Yeah. Yeah, if you fake that illness, yeah.
Speaking of which, what's his name? Danny Masterson just got transferred to the men's colony in California.
Yeah.
I guess there was a couple hits out on him in Corcoran prison, which is not a nice place. I've been there. I did a documentary about it. It's actually, they have 2 sections, and they're both like 6,000 inmates each section. A lot of crazy people. But yeah, they moved him there. So men's colony. So what's he? I mean, how much different is that than from Corcoran?
Well, men's colony is where Bittaker Norris started.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It's always I brought it up because
a little bit this year. I know a couple inmates there. They really enjoy it.
It's like medium security.
Yeah, medium security.
Yeah.
All right. So with Gargiulo, we'll just have to go into more tapes and see more of the psychosis. I just think that it's
just the tip of the iceberg with him.
So disturbing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But maybe there's something in the discovery that can help you find out who some of these other girls were.
Mm-hmm.
Have you spoken to the people the authorities in Illinois that are prosecuting this case? Not
yet. I've only spoken with the people in Los Angeles.
Oh, okay.
But I've given over everything I know. I gathered from San Quentin.
So you give it to Los Angeles Sheriff's Department, and then if they think it's relevant, they can pass it to the other guys.
Right. I know the DA did come into San Quentin and was listening to some of the things that were going on, and they pulled out a lot of my guys in San Quentin for interviews about some of the stuff that was going down. Yeah. So they're aware of it.
I mean, obviously, it's all being recorded.
Yeah, they've been listening to all the tapes, so they know. Like every tape I'm about to play for you guys, the DA has.
Yeah, no, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah,
we wouldn't play it unless we knew that you would already given it to them.
Oh yeah, exactly. They have everything.
And remind me again when they're planning on his trial.
We don't know. I mean, they've just started. Just the arraignment. I don't know how long they've been prepping for this. I guess they probably have for years, but I don't know. So I think
it's like, I mean, I hope they don't take long. Why waste money on this guy?
Right. So I don't know how long in advance they've been prepping for how long it's going to be going to trial. I guess it's going to depend really on his defense attorneys. If they want to prolong it, is probably going to tell us the most of how long it's going to drag out.
Well, and for the family too, like they don't need to have this drag out for like a long time.
Yeah.
They've been waiting 31 years.
They've been waiting so long as it is, it's like get it done fast.
No. And unfortunately, it's going to be up to Gargiulo whether he keeps, filing motions to prolong it. Unfortunately, yeah.
So when he is convicted of this crime, he's just going to go back to California, isn't he?
I don't know. I mean, that's really up to politicians. That's,
It's like who wants to absorb the cost of this guy's life imprisonment?
I'd imagine because he does have a California death sentence, they would send him back to California.
Yeah.
That's what I think. But this is where it's like, above everyone, it's really up to the politicians of what really.
Because it becomes like a financial matter. Then it's not really about because.
Do you just keep him there because it's going to cost so much to bring him back, or
Yeah.
I don't really know. It goes up to the politicians, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Well.
Yeah.
Cindy's like, I'm ready for bed after the Gargiulo tapes.
It's not it's not the best thing to listen to before you go to bed.
I know, that's the thing. It's like I have to now do something else.
Expunge.
Get it out of my brain.
Exactly. But Laura, I mean, it's fascinating work with you. I mean, it way
really
you
is.
control these guys' conversations. It's just like it's like you're letting him swim in a pool, and then you're kind of reeling him in.
That's exactly what it is. You're letting him go. It's like fishing, and then you're pulling him back in.
Yep.
Yeah.
Without letting them know what you're doing, because they could flip on you on a second. That's the thing. Like,
well, with him, what was happening is you were just calling him on his shit, and he was
getting annoyed.
No, he wasn't annoyed. He was just he couldn't. You disrupted his flow of his bullshit.
Totally, just like froze up and started like going back and forth. Yeah. I don't want to talk about the case. It's like you've been talking about the case for 15 years.
Yeah. You wanted to do a podcast about the case.
Right?
You wanted to get followers
with your brother, and we're getting followers. What are you talking
exactly?
About?
So bizarro.
Crazy.
All right, Laura. So we'll talk to you next week, and we'll hear some more of those Gargiulo tapes.
Yeah, I'll pull some more out for you guys.
All right. Thanks.
Donate.